Houses can't be hungry.
This one is. It will spread and seize and swallow everything weaker than itself. It will be all. There will be nothing more.
Welcome to Duskmourn. The house, the plane. Once you are in, there is no escape. Join us as we uncover the dark secrets that lay deep within the house of horror, if you dare. Welcome to Chronicles, the story of Duskmourn. The story began on the plain of Kamigawa, where the city was recovering from the new Phyrexian invasion. Tamio's son Nashi had gone missing. Nashi was lured by his mother's voice and vanished from Kamigawa after traveling through a strangely marked door with his companions. The Wandering Emperor, an elite samurai, and Kaito, human cyber ninja, assembled a rescue team of heroes from the multiverse. Tyvar Kell, the elf prince and warrior from Kaldheim. Simone, the mathematical prodigy from Quandrix College of Strixhaven University. And Nico Eris, a blue-aligned gifted athlete from Theros. The team immediately reported to Ravnica, where Niv Mizzet, the dragon and second living guild pack, was said to have discovered a new mysterious door, similar to the one Nashi had vanished through. In preparation for their departure, Aminatu, a fate shifter, predicted that at least one of them wouldn't make it out alive without fate shifter tokens. These would allow the heroes to evade horrifying ends and reset the timeline to moments before their death, but only one time each. Armed with the ability to cheat death, the team set out to save their young friend. Once they stepped through the door, they found themselves inside a massive, rotten, and ominous house. The door behind them disappeared, leaving them with no escape. As the team carefully explored the house, they soon realized they were trapped inside a gigantic maze. There were corridors and rooms in every direction, constantly changing and evolving into new architecture they hadn't seen before, almost as if the house were a living being. The companions had just agreed it was best to stick together when a horrifying scream was heard from another room. Tyvar, always the hot-headed warrior, sprinted toward the danger with Simone close on his heels trying to stop him. It was at that moment the door changed into a wall, cutting off Tyvar and Simone from the rest of the team. Kaito stepped onto a collapsing floor, falling out of sight, leaving the Wanderer and Nico alone. They realized the house was aware, alive, and listening to them, and decided to split the party one by one. Tyvar and Simone soon found themselves inside a library with books containing dark magical rituals. Simone dove into research, trying to decipher what really happened to the house. They were startled into action when a six-eyed bipedal monster appeared, charging straight at the duo. Tyvar shielded Simone with his own body and suffered fatal wounds, his open eyes staring at nothing as he died. With a gasp and a reset with the fate shifter token in the blink of an eye, Tyvar did some quick thinking. Knowing the monster could not be defeated, Tyvar called upon his transmutation magic, inanimating both Simone and himself into the house's material of plaster and dust. The monster immediately stopped pursuing the duo and wandered away. Tyvar's camouflage tricked the house into thinking they were part of the house. Shielding themselves from the house's view, they managed to slip into a surprisingly normal-looking room with a mysterious young lady sitting there, seemingly repelling the house's influence. She appeared completely oblivious to the reality of the house's current state. Intrigued, the two stole away with the woman's diary, which divulged what really happened to the house. A long time ago in the plain of Duskmourn, a family moved into an abandoned house. The young daughter, Marina, hadn't really wanted to move and was extremely lonely in her new neighborhood until one day she heard a cryptic voice calling to her from the basement, inviting her for a conversation. Marina went searching for this voice and found a dark entity who introduced himself as Volgavoth with an offer of friendship. The two grew fond of each other and became close. As the new kid in town, Marina was being bullied at school. Her anger and frustration reached a boiling point, and she lured the mean girls to the house, where they disappeared into the walls, releasing Volgavoth from the basement. Her only friend was known by another name, the Devouring Father, a great demon summoned and bound by the previous owner long ago. What had she done? Freed from his prison, Volgavoth would go on to devour everything and everyone in his path, merging the entire plane into his house. But his hunger was endless. Duskmourn was never enough for the Devouring Father. Time went by until he discovered something had changed in the multiverse, and he could now spawn mysterious doors in random planes, luring powerful beings into his house. Back to the present with Nico and the Wanderer. After being separated from their companions, they searched for them throughout the house and came across a survivor called Winter. Winter advised that the duo should follow glimmers, physical manifestations of the survivor's hopes and dreams that could lead them to the whereabouts of Nashi. The Wanderer's glimmer appeared as a small golden dragon, Kyodai. This worked, and the trio found him in a cage, only to discover it was guarded by tree-like monsters known as the Wicker Folk. The Wanderer attempted to free Nashi, but was impaled by the monster's deadly branches, and the light of her glimmer died. With a gasp, the Wanderer used her Fate Shifter token, and changing tactics, Nico used their shard technique to free Nashi. The young Nezumi refused to leave without the memory of his mother, so they pressed on in search of Tamio's scroll. Following Nashi, the team ventured deep within the house into a chamber called the Below. Winter disclosed that this place was filled with the cultists of Volgavoth, personal stewards to the house. With a powerful blue mage who couldn't miss and one of the greatest swordswomen in the multiverse on their side, the team should have been able to overpower these cultists in no time. Unfortunately for them, the head cultist, armed with a dusty magical book, cast a spell that hypnotized the entire team, making them black out. As the team slowly woke up, they found themselves tied up with a gigantic moth-like entity in front of them, Volgavoth himself. The cultists were feeding off the power of the stories in Tamio's living memory scroll. Winter had betrayed them and was working for Volgavoth all along, delivering the heroes right into this trap, all to secure his own promised escape to freedom from Duskmourn. The heroes were surrounded by chrysalises, twitching and preparing to hatch. What new horrors awaited them? There was no way to escape being devoured. Just then, the door burst open. Tyvar and Simone had come to save the day. Armoring themselves as the house, they clashed against Volgavoth's forces and managed to free everyone. But our multiversal heroes were no match for the Devouring Father. The Wanderer slashed with her blade again and again, but Volgavoth pinned her to the floor and knocked away her sword. When all seemed lost, a bright light appeared behind the demon, with a katana piercing right through his chest. Kaito had arrived. Turns out, after Kaito fell through the floor, he ran into Jace Balaran, who was in Duskmourn looking for Vraska and loot. What? Jace, being Jace, promptly violated the Blue Boys' bro code and abandoned Kaito to help Vraska. Since Kaito still had his spark, he planeswalked back to Ravnica for help. Proft, the great detective, helped construct a temporary omen path to connect Ravnica and Duskmourn. The team immediately escaped through the glowing doorway. Nashi discovered Tamio's living memory was ghost-trapped in Duskmourn by Volgavoth to lure him in, and was devastatingly depleted. Realizing she could not be saved, she told Nashi, "Let me go, so the work that was my life won't be turned to evil any longer. Free me, dear one. Free me." She told Nashi how loved he was by everyone who had come to save him, and that her greatest wish was for him to keep going and live a spectacular life. And with that, Nashi lifted the scroll, and Tamio's spirit faded into thin air. The story ended with our heroes safely in Ravnica, Volgavoth vowing for revenge, and eating his feelings with Winter, whose whiny goth vibes had become a delightful snack. Plus a post-credit scene that revealed a captured loot? Oh no! And that is the story of Duskmourn. What power will Volgavoth unlock with loot? How did Jace, Vraska, and Loot end up in Duskmourn in the first place? That was super weird. Let me know in the comments. And remember, next time when someone from the basement wants to be your friend, just don't. Thank you for watching this video. And as always, you're cool.